And welcome back to Amplify. Today, I'm talking with my friend Kelly Chase, who has been on the show before. And Kelly is a reality TV personality, podcaster, and entrepreneur. She gained fame on Love is Blind season 1, and she now hosts the podcast Chase Life with Kelly, focusing on self-love, relationships, and mindset. She also works as a speaker and coach, offering programs like Rejection to Redemption, Money Magnet, and Goddess Magic Course Bundle. This is such a juicy conversation about relationships, healing, trauma, God, reality TV, like all the things. So I know you're going to absolutely love it. All right, everybody, super excited to be here with my friend Kelly. She is one of the few repeat guests on the show. So last time you heard, I think it was a few years ago at this point, and we were talking about Love is Blind stuff and all of that, which if you guys want to hear more about the reality TV Love is Blind experience, go listen to that episode. And then obviously Kelly talks about it a ton on her own show as well. But right now we're kind of doing like a part 2 of the conversation that we had yesterday. So fun fact, Kelly and I chatted for like over 2 hours yesterday to record for her podcast. And here we are now talking for my own. And so this is like almost like a part 2, which is super, super exciting. And I'm like really pumped to just continue the conversation. So
I am too. Thanks for having me. I'm
absolutely.
excited too.
Absolutely. So where we kind of left off, and you guys, we're going to cover all kinds of things, but we on Kelly's show talked about dating, feminine energy. We talked about like faith journey. I talked about demons a little bit. Like we went in a lot of different directions. We talked about like breaking like ancestral, like, spirit patterns and stuff like that, and curses, like all kinds of stuff. So we like went in all the directions. So I
Yeah.
think for today, I'm so curious because part of what so for if you guys don't know, Kelly and I have been friends for a while and connected through different like mastermind groups, coaching groups, and that kind of stuff. And so we like keep in touch, right? But I saw a few weeks ago, I think it was, you posting on Instagram, I think, or maybe it was TikTok. I don't even exactly remember. And I think you were saying that you had just gotten your first Bible, right? Or you were just starting to go to church. First Bible.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was
And I was like,
yeah. That was a couple months ago actually, but yeah,
oh my gosh, that's already that long.
but it's yeah. Yes, it was a couple
Yeah.
months
So
ago, but like
I'm like,
I haven't talked too much about it. It's like I like dropped
yeah,
like, hey guys, got a Bible.
yeah. So she posted that. And as you guys know from like me sharing about my journey, like I really like the last 2 years, really like jump back into my faith, relationship with God, Jesus, all of that, and like getting back into church really consistently, and have also very much seen, and those listening, watching have probably noticed this too, but like a shift in a lot of people, like back to Christianity or deeper relationship with Christianity and stuff like that. So it's always so interesting to me and like fun to me when I see people that I know and friends who are like, I'm jumping into this journey too. So, because for me, again, the way it happened for me, and I highly recommend if you haven't listened yet, listen to episode 1 and 2 of this season of my podcast, and you'll hear a lot more about my faith journey, like throughout my whole life, and especially recently. And I talked about it a ton on your show as well. But for me, it was like this, like gentle, like invitation, like very internal invitation, not from seeing a bunch of people like shifting this way, just this kind of like little like whisper. And then I started doing that for myself and then started noticing, oh my gosh, a lot of people are talking about this more or shifting into this or whatever. So I'm so curious, like how did this all happen and what like brought you to buying your first Bible
Yeah.
or
Okay.
getting your first Bible?
Yeah, I bought it.
Yeah. I'm like, it could be gifted, right? A lot of churches will give them as gifts.
So yeah, I'm gonna give you long details here. So, over the last, which I mentioned to you too, it's like over the very recently, I feel like even like yourself, there's been other people that I've been, I'm not like best friends with them, but I'm like, I know you, like everyone, like we're friends, we're acquaintances, that kind of thing. But like people in the coaching space more or less, because I feel like we're all kind of been playing on the same level for a little while, and versus, my regular friends, not necessarily as much.
Yeah.
And I was witnessing everyone, including myself to a degree, of like, law of attraction, manifestation, the universe, speaking more about the universe as a higher power, right? Like, okay, or simultaneously, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
God, source, creator, universe, whatever you believe in,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And crystals, tarot cards, oracle cards, like whatever the case may be, like all that stuff. And of course it piqued my interest. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like that sounds, wait, this card, there's like a message that could apply to my life today. Okay, sure. And I
Yeah.
would pull here and there, I never really got like super obsessed with like one thing. I was just like, okay, I have a thing, but I mean, I have a
Mm-hmm.
I have tarot cards or oracle cards, and I'm like, okay, they're literally like in a cabinet and probably haven't seen them in 6 months. But so I have seen over the last year, probably some of you coaches like transitioning. And so it was like, that was interesting. And also in the last year, so I have worked probably for 3 years off and on a little bit with a coach, and she same way as far as like God, universe, like she would pretty much use
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
terminology. And she is a student of Bob Proctor,
Okay.
very, very, very like, I mean, talks about God, but also it's a lot of vibration and law of attraction kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And anyways, through her program, through all of her programs, again, she would use that language. And then even before she started speaking more God directly, she had invited us to get this book called God Works Through You by Robert A. Russell. And I thought, I mean, it's not a thick read at all. Like, I mean, it's like maybe 100 pages, but I found the book to be very fascinating in the sense that it like they incorporated some like Bible verses in it, but also it was almost like the like religious spiritual word with the scientific behind it. Like
Mm.
scientifically, if you're like this verse can mean this, like law of attraction,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's all the same thing in a sense, like
Mm-hmm.
how it was kind of playing out. It was almost like a really complex read too. I'm like, it took me a little while to go through because I was like trying to study almost every sentence. Probably just like you were saying
Mm.
last night about like the Bible, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like every word has a meaning to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, so I want to say that was kind of like my introduction into, because
okay.
I never, as I mentioned last night, like I was raised Catholic, but I never felt connected. Even, I mean, granted, yeah, I'm sure we started going to church when I was younger. My dad is like not like he believes there's a higher power, but he does not believe in God.
Mm.
So, but my mom was raised Catholic until she went to high school.
Yeah.
Very, very different. And so my mom, she wanted to instill Christianity and Catholicism into us. And therefore we went to, all the classes and everything. There was a time right around like when we got confirmation, my mom had an experience where maybe there was like a priest that came in, like a guest priest that came in, and
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't understand him. I don't know if it's like foreign, I don't know, different language, that kind of thing. And
Okay.
she was just like, I don't understand what this man's trying to say. Like, I think he was speaking English, but with a very thick accent kind of thing. And she was like, I don't understand. I feel like this is what my girls don't, like, they don't understand.
Okay.
Like, this
Okay.
probably is how
Yeah.
they like
Are
hear it.
experiencing church. Yeah.
Yes, because we never were like, let's go to, like, it's not like I was coming home being like singing gospel and Bible songs. Like,
Yeah.
not that kid.
Yeah.
Jesus loves me. This I know. Like, never
Yeah.
a song I sang. So yeah, it was just like an interesting thing. And in high school, well, I'll say this: like after the confirmation, my mom was pretty much like, "It's up to you, girls, if you want to go to church at this point." And I think
Mm-hmm.
we all kind of stopped going. Maybe on Christmas, like on holidays, like Christmas, Easter, that kind of thing. We would pretty much start, continue to go. But there were times when, I mean, like Christmas, we're like, I just want to stay in my pajamas all day. I don't want to have to get dressed and go to church. So it just continued like that. And so we all kind of separated from it. I want to say a handful of years ago, my sister started going to a church, but it was more of I guess, inclusive of all, maybe more new age. I don't
Okay.
know. she started going. She was dating a guy who was pretty strong in faith or whatever, but so they would go together. And I was like, wow, okay, Ashley's going to church. Awesome. That's great.
Is she older or younger sister?
She's a year older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
guys are so close.
Yeah. We're 14 months apart. So
Yeah.
basically twins. But yeah, so she started going, but I will say this, like, my sister has been very involved, like everything that, like, spiritual wise, yoga, sound baths,
Yeah.
drum circles, all that kind of stuff. She was definitely like, she started being involved in that and like having her spiritual journey 15 years ago. So anyway, she's just ahead in ways. With all that being said, so yeah, so we kind of stopped, we drifted apart. I mean, the only times I would go to church when like I was in high school, a lot of my friends, I mean, I grew up in Georgia, or Southern Bible Belt, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
most of my friends were Baptist, Southern Baptist, like probably all doing drugs, drinking, and having sex on the weekends too, true Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but I would go with my friends. Like, it was like a thing people did, would go to like church or like a community, like a teen night at the church.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yeah.
course, it's like the popular thing to do, like go to the Loganville First Baptist. And anyway, so I would go with friends there. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I learned one song that I to this day really love. I don't even remember. I don't even know how it goes right now, but I do love it every time I hear it.
Yeah.
But like, that was my extent. There were people obviously that would be in high school and like come sit next to you at lunch and try to like get you to join their congregation and all that. And I'm like, please don't preach the Bible to me right now. Like, that is
Yeah.
not who I am. Okay. I
Yeah.
just go because my friends go.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was just very disconnected. I didn't feel a pull, never did. When people, my whole like 20s, early 30s would ask me, like, oh, do you go to church? Or you like, what's your faith? And I'm like, I'm spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, again, majority of my 20s, early 30s, that was my response, but I really didn't know like what that meant to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know what spiritual was because I really just didn't have anything. I was very,
Okay.
very disconnected.
What was it like, yeah, higher power, God-ish, like, something.
Yeah, and I'm sure I would say things like, yeah, I'm going to pray to God. But I never,
Okay.
like, it wasn't like this power. Like, it was just like, like an autopilot kind of thing. Like, okay, yeah, like God's got me. But
Yeah.
no like true feeling, emotion, connection behind it. Just like a thing you say.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course during my 20s I didn't think I was disconnected. But until I started to obviously go through my spiritual awakening,
Yeah.
then I look back and I was like, wow, like how disconnected from self I actually was, disconnected from everything. I mean, when I was probably, I don't know, maybe like 30 or 29, I went to an event with my sister and one of her friends asked me, like, what do I like to do for fun? And I literally will never forget this moment because I felt so embarrassed. My response was, go out drinking. Like, what do you like to do for fun? Like, go out drinking with my friends. And like,
Yeah.
he was like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, he didn't say, like, it wasn't like, he
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
like, shaming me or anything, but he was like, oh, okay, like, cool. I'm sure he was like some artsy fartsy guy. I don't remember. But like,
Yeah.
a lot of the people that my sister hung out with, they were like very musical inclined and like art and just very
Yeah. That's
grounded
so
individuals. Yeah. So, not that they didn't drink, but like, they were
right.
probably, oh, I'm playing a band or something. Like,
Yeah.
they had another thing going on. And anyways, when I said it, like, came out of my mouth and I was like, I don't know what I like to do for fun. I don't know. Like,
Interesting.
that's what
You're
I
like
do.
going out drinking, like that's
That's
the
what I
thing.
do. Every weekend was go out drinking with my friends.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there was like one-off weekends I'd go do something different, of course, but like that was my life for 10, 12 years. I
Yeah.
mean, ever since I graduated college, even when I dated someone right after college and I was in a 2.5 year relationship with him, and that's what we did too. We'd go out.
Yeah,
So
I was talking to someone this weekend and it was crazy because I feel like that was my post college, cuz I turned 21 like right before senior year of college, I think. And so like my post college, like 21, 22, 23, I was going out drinking with my friends so much.
yeah,
It's crazy. And then met my ex-husband at 23, and
Mm,
he doesn't drink. I mean, I don't think he does now still, but didn't drink while we were together. And so I drank a lot less. And
mm.
then when we split up, I like, it's never been something I've gone back to, but I was like, gosh, that's like the main, but I don't know. Is that just like part of your 20s, I guess? And like,
Right, I don't
it's
know.
like,
I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe.
yeah, but like a lot. I'm like, that was like the main social activity, like going out and drinking.
Yeah, I mean, it was like just go to the new bar, go to the same stomping grounds, and go to the and and then I was a bartender for a couple of years also, and so then all my friends would come to the bar. It was just a thing.
Yeah.
So let me think. In like 2000 and well, after like 28, when I turned 29, I had like went through. I just broken up. Me and a guy. I mean, I thought I was gonna marry him, and let me say this: I thought I was gonna marry him because like it's the first person that ever said like you're gonna be my wife someday, kind of thing. And like first and only time I've ever spent Christmas away from my family was to like go do Christmas with his parents. And looking back, I didn't know who I was in that relationship. Like I was totally not a different person, but a different person. I don't even know how to explain it, but I lost myself in him. He was extremely attractive, very charming. I lost myself in him. Like there were certain things like, friends of mine would invite me, for an example, like there was a wedding. A friend of mine from college invited me to their wedding, and this was a couple, like I knew both the groom and the bride. I didn't necessarily like stay in touch. We weren't like very close, but they were friends of mine. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so honored that they invited me to their wedding. Like, how nice. Like, that's a plate of food they have to feed, like
Mm,
that's awesome. And so I'm like, you're going to come with me to this wedding. The day of the wedding, he's like, do we really have to go? And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know, like, yeah, I mean, I would like to go. It'd be fun to see like
yeah.
my college friends. Like, it's not just them. Like, I'll see a bunch of my college friends, there
Yeah.
too. And he was just like, I don't know. I was just like, don't really feel like going. Like, and I'm like, okay, I didn't go to this wedding. And again, I wasn't like devastated, like whatever, but that type of thing would
Yeah.
happen where I'm like, I mean, granted, we had a lot of mutual friends. We started sharing friends and whatnot. But I almost felt like things like that where he was just like not interested. And I'm like, but I attend all the things your friends are doing.
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah. And so
I was
you're like sacrificing, but like, yeah, like not doing the things that make you happy and stuff
like,
like that, that
yeah,
are like, you can look at that and be like, oh, well, that's not that big of a deal. But it's like, but if you're constantly like saying no to things that you would enjoy that aren't like bad, right? Like, but
yeah,
then still doing them for your partner, it's, yeah, you're
yeah.
like lessening yourself.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And it's not like it happened all the time. I mean, he was extremely empowering. I will say this person, what is really ironic and funny about it all. So, my brand, Chase Life with Kelly, he came up with that name.
Mm,
He encouraged me to go to get my health coaching certification. He actually bought my like training to become a spin instructor.
mm,
There were things that he was like very like encouraging and ambitious about for me, like wanted me to
yeah.
become a better person, and like now, like again, kind of looking back at things, I'm like, maybe I was just, I think what we were talking about last night, like I'm the problem. Like there were things, maybe he saw the potential in me, but I didn't see it in myself. And
Mm,
I was just like, okay, I'll do anything you want. Like, okay, I don't know. I don't know how to explain our relationship because I feel like we had a great relationship. And also, I felt like it was a bit manipulative and narcissistic, also.
hmm.
There were some
Interesting.
things. Yeah. I mean, granted, it wound up with him cheating on me. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. End of that. But yeah, he was basically, again, we're going back to ironic, not just my brand name. He submitted my information for a casting years prior to Love is Blind
Okay.
after we broke up. And he texted me one day. We were like okay,
Okay.
acquaintances.
That's
That
so
was
interesting.
and I'll say this, the reason why we were probably acquaintances is because I was the cool girl. I'm the cool ex-girlfriend who I could still be friends with you. Although it
Yeah.
was breaking my heart every time I saw him with another girl.
Yeah. We can be buds.
Yeah, we can make that. I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, it was awful. I mean, it broke me, and I'll get more into that. But so I get a text one morning, hey, I sent your information to a casting team. They reached out to me. They're doing some like dating show here in Atlanta. I can't do it because of my job. And I was like, okay, thanks, thank you. I think. I don't know.
That's so weird.
Yeah, kind of weird. I think he just like really maybe wanted to like, I don't
Make
know.
things right or do
Right?
something nice for you, but I would never like if I ever felt that way like about an ex, oh, they should do this. I would like maybe ask them first. I wouldn't just like that's weird.
So anyway, so they call, casting calls, and I went through the whole process. It was for Married at First Sight and went through
Okay.
the whole thing. Again, this was like 2014, 2015. Went through the whole like Skype interviews, everything. They sent me the contract. I mean, I am like doing Married at First Sight, and I read the like small fine print. I was like, I am not doing Married at First Sight.
Yeah.
It's scary. I am not walking down the aisle first episode and saying yes to a person because you had to get married. You have
I
to
love
get
it.
married.
I love it. You're like, I'm not going to marry you at first sight, but I will get engaged to you at first sight. Hey, but yeah, you don't have to get married.
Right. Yeah.
I
So
love it.
funny. So then I, again, I was just like, no, I'm sorry, this is not for me. So fast forward 2018, I get a phone call from Santa Monica, California, which I don't answer random numbers, but I love California. So I was like, sure, I'm going to
You're like,
answer
who is
it.
it?
Yeah. And they're like, it's so-and-so from Kinetic Content Casting. They're like, we still have your file from when you chatted with us a few years ago. Are you still single? We have a new concept. Are you still single? And I was like, I am. This was Love is Blind.
So interesting. Whenever I talk to people about like reality TV, I'm like, I don't watch literally any reality TV. I'm like, the only reality TV I watch is Love is Blind because my friend was on season 1 of it and then I got hooked and now I can't not watch it anytime it comes out. Like I have to. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I love it. But yeah, it was just like really funny. But anyways, back to the breakup. We had talked at some point, and again, like I've always like been very petite. I feel like in shape. I mean, I did work out back then too, and ate pretty healthy. And he was all again very encouraging of things. So he was like, "Oh, like you should probably like you should do like a bikini competition. Like you're already fit. It probably wouldn't be that difficult for you to do, and you know that world."
Yeah.
And so I didn't do it. But when we broke up, in our brain, our subconscious is like, we talked about that. Maybe if I get really shredded and I look fucking real hot, maybe he'll want me back. Like that's the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like a conscious thought. I know that's what.
Right. Right. Yeah. Your brain's like, he's suggesting I should do these. I want him to like me and think of me in a good way. Okay, I'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I didn't like hire a coach or anything. I just like started Googling all the things. Google cannot be your best friend for certain things. I mean, it would tell me, of course, workouts to do and the way to eat and all that kind of thing. And I started doing it, but I wasn't obviously doing it the right way. I mean, I was, again, petite. I lost weight, was basically under eating and obsessively working out. And again, I was teaching spin at the time too. So I was teaching spin. And then after my 45-minute spin class, I would go and like superset heavy weights in the gym. So I was burning a lot of calories and eating probably less than 900 calories a day. Like I was eating like, maybe I went from like a chicken breast to like half a chicken breast and like half a sweet potato and like 4 asparagus spears with maybe some chia seeds like thrown on it or something.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't eating, obviously not eating enough food. I saw 99 pounds on the scale and like my office was concerned. I brush my teeth after I get done eating. So, but I was like, so I always went to the bathroom after, but like even my
But
boss was
people,
like, are you okay?
yeah.
I think they then thought I was like bulimic and throwing up
Yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
So it became a thing. My mom was like, Kelly, we need to go. Like, we're going to go to the doctor, whatever. I mean, we went to the doctor. I got blood work taken. This was when my vagus nerve had its reaction. I've had a vagus issue ever since. I passed out when they were taking my blood. I don't know if it's because I was so tiny or what,
Yeah.
because it had never happened before. But yeah, they had to wake me up with ammonia. And they were like, had you not woken up in the next 2 minutes, we were about to rush you to the hospital. Like my mom was like at the end of the bed, like in sheer fright, tears in her eyes. And she was like, I swear to God, you just had a seizure. And my sister had seizures growing up. So my mom knew what a seizure looked like.
Yeah.
She was like, oh my God. So anyways, body keeps score. Now every time I go get blood drawn, I have to like, it's a whole process.
Yeah.
I haven't passed out since that episode, but I have gotten very close. So anyways, after all that, I did start eating maybe a little bit more, but not much. I still was working out the same. Then I started gaining weight though. And it's
Mm.
like my body, the cortisol went really crazy because I was under eating. Metabolism like was turning, I mean, my body was like turning a carrot into fat. Like I was muscular, but very bulky. I went from 99 pounds to 138 pounds. So 40 pounds
And how long?
for someone who's 5'2", that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a lot of weight gain just generally, but how fast did
Yeah,
that happen?
about 138. So over
Okay.
maybe a year,
Okay. So that's, which
maybe
is like,
6 months.
yeah, which is not, that can be done healthy. And when your frame is that small and that's not what your like
Right.
norm is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
But as I
dramatic
started to see,
change.
like, I was like, I've never been 118 pounds. I've never been
Yeah.
120 pounds. So again, it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe I'll tweak something else with my diet, or maybe I need to go start. And I would start like obsessively like Googling, okay, like how do I like shred up? Like again, I've done all these things, and then it's like doing sprints on a treadmill and like lifting even heavier, all this stuff. I was putting so much stress on my body, and then I just kept gaining weight. And I'm like, what in the hell? I can't do anything. I hired a trainer, and the trainer, he knew like what I was eating, but it was something. It's funny because the trainer would like go out partying too. That was something. I would be up till 3 a.m., partying, drinking my face
Oof.
off.
Yeah.
That's why I probably have gut issues, because I was eating so little and pouring alcohol into my blood
Right.
2 or 3 nights.
Seriously.
Like
I was
7 sodas later,
was
like,
burning the lining of my
yeah,
digestive
yeah,
system
it
and
was.
killing all the good bacteria. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, anyways, all that to say, no one ever asked me, everyone asked me, like, what are you eating? Well, what are you eating? I'm like, chicken, asparagus, sweet potato. And they're like, okay, I mean, that's what I eat too. And I'm a train, like, okay. Nobody asked me how much I was eating.
Mm.
And I'm telling all this because it's important to the story of like how abandoned, like how much I was self-abandoning. And I
Yeah.
think that was like the whole thing of like, I was so disconnected from who I was, constantly searching for worth in other things, even men during the time, because I'm like, and this went on. I mean, as far as like the weight stuff, I started to lose weight. I started doing like Beachbody stuff, and met a coach
Hmm.
who showed me her journey, and she was like bigger and she lost weight, and she was like, this is what I did. I started eating more and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, eating more? What's that concept? Okay, hold on. And that's what I did. I started like,
Yeah.
coincidentally, I stopped teaching the spin classes, but I worked out for 30 minutes a day versus 2 hours a day. And I started eating 12 to 1300 calories a day. And I started to lose the weight. Anyone out there, listen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of it has
I
to do with
mean,
that. Yeah.
yeah, when your body thinks that it's starving, like, sure, yes, you can starve your body and get continuously skinnier and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But if you're under eating, your body is often going to think that you are starving and it needs to preserve everything. So it's not going to release. So
Yes.
sometimes the trick is eating more, but eating the right things.
Eating the right things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. With the right amounts of the right food. So, anyways, I started to lose the weight and all that. But still during that time, so this was between 2015 to 2017, I guess, or nearly 2018, where I was still doing the same thing, working my 9 to 5, probably working like a side hustle or something. Or no, I had my coaching stuff. So I would like come home from work and have a client at nighttime. And then if I was still working my spin instructing, then I'm working on playlists. Like I was up until like 10, 11 o'clock at night, getting up at 5 or 4 a.m. to like go to the gym and work out. Like I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was still like, although maybe my eating habits and my workout habits were better, everything else was still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else had really changed. And I'm like, just losing myself in guys. Like I was very quick to this, oh, that guy gave me attention. And although I was like attracted to him, like, I was attracted to him, I'd probably sleep with them a little too prematurely.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no like intention of dating, actually being with me and dating me and that kind of thing. And I'm sure that I had anxious attachment style, needy, graspy energy. Like, why aren't you calling me? I'm
Yeah.
sure that happened. And in 2017, middle of then, a guy I connected with like on Instagram, he was reading personal development books and like journaling and doing a lot of self-love practices, and he was showing it. And we connected, and he had gone to IIN, the same health coaching school as I did. And I was like, okay, cool. And he's like eating very similarly, all this stuff. And I was just like, but also I'm like, I don't like none of my friends are doing that stuff. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
anyone. I don't know anyone doing that. Like, he awakened that to me. And although I told you that my sister had been doing that, I wasn't like spending, like, I wasn't hanging out with my sister because she's doing that and I'm drinking and dancing on tables at bars probably.
Right.
I would go to some things with her, but I was like, just not into it. But then there's this cute boy on the internet, and I was like, oh, okay, he's doing it.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I'll listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started, like, I read the book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and that like changed everything. I still, not religiously, quote unquote, but I still pretty much do the same like lifesavers concept that's introduced in that
Mhm.
book to this day. And that practice started my spiritual awakening because I would wake up, damn, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever, before everybody else was awake. And I would do my like 10 minutes of, prayer, meditation, silence,
Yeah.
affirmations, visualizations. I'd go to work out, I'd journal, I'd read some pages in the book. And I just started feeling more connected to myself. And during that
Mm.
time, I quit corporate America and started just tuning into the health coaching and fitness training. So
Yeah.
I was doing what I wanted to do also. And then I like went on a trip by myself. I did like a solo travel. There was just so much self exploration and I pulled away. Like it was a very also isolating time in my life. But that
Mm.
2018, that's when I met you in Angie Lee's program. Yeah, you
Yeah.
were part of my journey.
Yeah. Oh my
Like
gosh.
everything started, like my parents would call me. I remember like on a Friday night, oh, what are you doing? Who are you like going out with? And I'm like, I'm not. And they're like, are you okay? This was my
Like,
life
did we
for,
call?
yeah. Do we need to do a wellness check? Are you all right? Yeah, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just reading a book. And they're like,
Yeah.
you're reading a book? What do you mean?
Instead of going out and partying?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, granted, I don't think that I went like completely sober, but there was a
Yeah.
long stretch that I definitely wasn't drinking.
Yeah.
You do find out who your true friends are during that time because my going out friends, I'm acquaintances with them still, but I'm not best friends.
Well, and it's so interesting too with like drinking and stuff like that because I don't really drink at all. Like I said, like when I met my ex-husband, he didn't drink, even though interestingly we met at a bar, right? Like when we met, but he doesn't drink. He didn't drink. Like not he wasn't sober or anything like that. Like every once in a while, but very rarely. And so when we were together, I basically stopped drinking.
Mm,
And still every once in a while, right? But like I probably drink even less now. Like I had a drink I went out, which is very rare for me to go out. Like I'll go out to dinner, go out on a date, like that kind of stuff. Like go get dinner with friends and like maybe have like one drink a month, if that. Like that's it. But even like last weekend, like went out and had a drink and like the next day weekend, but stayed up late also. But
yeah,
even like the next day, I'm like, my gosh, I feel like I need to. It's crazy how when you really cut it back, how you notice the effects of it. But then also like socially, how if you're like, oh no, thank you, I'm not drinking, like how people think that's so weird,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And like there's something wrong with you. And
yeah,
you're like, wait, what?
yeah.
Huh?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And I recognize, I mean, I'm a social drinker and I have always been. I mean, when I was
Yeah.
drinking back then, it wasn't like I was, and no judgment, but like I'm not the girl who comes home from work and pours a glass of wine.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Like it's literally, oh, I'm going out with my friends. I think maybe 5 times in my entire life have I been like, on a Saturday night, maybe just by myself at my house. I'm like, I don't know, a glass of wine does sound really nice right now. I'll
Yeah.
watch it, have a glass while I'm watching a TV show.
Yeah.
But maybe 5 times in my life. But yeah, no, but it was very isolating during that time, but it was also extremely connecting. And I was just so curious about myself. And that was like
Yeah.
my whole self love journey. So I did start connecting back in. We filmed Love is Blind the end of 2018. And after that, I mean, I was not in a good headspace after that. I
Mm,
definitely probably needed therapy and I didn't
yeah.
go.
What about that was like and I guess we can circle back to it or I can just like interrupt with questions. Like what was obviously like going from like having your normal life and then being in a like very successful reality show, right?
Mhm.
Like it blew up, and then like having your like social media following explode as well in a very short period of time. But like what were the big things that were like after that experience, like the big challenges for you?
Yeah, I mean, I will say so right after we got done filming, like I said in 2018, I was depressed because I, although didn't like obviously marry the guy, I was very much into him, and
Mm,
we had discussed dating, and he was just like, I can't. And like that was it. And like it's like we broke up and with a 2-minute conversation. And
mm,
I was like, wait, what? What do you, he was just like, I'm not emotionally available right now, and I am really over this show, and I'm really over this whole thing, and unfortunately you are a part of this whole thing.
yeah.
And like I'll never forget that. And I was just like, okay. And he
Yeah.
like
Well,
gets out.
and because, right, like he said yes, right?
No, he said no also.
Got it. Okay.
They didn't
Okay.
show
Cause
it.
you answered first. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. You
But they
answered
didn't show
first.
that.
Got it.
They made it look like I broke his
Like you
heart.
broke his heart. Right. Okay.
So, but we both knew we were gonna say no, but the whole like plan the whole all along was like, okay, we're not doing this, but like we're gonna date
Got
afterwards.
it. That's right. Okay. Okay. So, cause, okay. In my head, that's so funny because I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Because in my head, I'd be like, oh, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense if then he didn't want to date. But,
for
oh,
sure.
that's a sucks though. Cause if you're going, like, that's kind of the expectation. Like,
Yeah,
okay, but after this, we'll see what happens for
yeah.
real, you
So it
know?
was like I will say I felt blindsided. There was maybe two instances leading up, like within the week though, maybe the week and a half, that I was like, something was off. Like he was saying I love you the whole time to me, and there was one time he did not say I love you. And I was like,
Hmm.
hmm, that was weird. Maybe he was just in a mood. I don't know. So I just kind of like, but I didn't approach him about it.
Yeah.
So that's
Interesting.
what we do, Sometimes
We
the girls
know though.
just
We
like
know.
red flag it and like we just dismiss it
Yeah.
kind of thing. So anyways, yeah, so I was just really heartbroken. I remember like that was middle of November, and I started working with Aaron a few weeks later again because like to distract myself I have to like go all in on my business and blah blah blah, and like let's void out how I'm feeling right now because I do not want to feel
Yeah.
how I'm feeling. And she asked me, we eventually got to it, so it may have been like a month or so later, and she was like, are you like in so much pain? Are you like so hurt by this because you were like really like madly in love with him and it's just so painful for you? Or are you actually like, or is it the pain of rejection?
Mm.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I sat there for a second and I was like, rejection. Cause no, I am not in love with that man. I would have probably said yes at the altar if I had been. Like,
Yeah.
I was learning to love the man I was getting to know. I really liked him, but no, I wasn't in love with him. It was the pain of
Yeah.
rejection. And again,
Yeah.
like we talked about last night, what was my spirit? Spirit of rejection.
Yeah. Yes, the rejection, but then being like, wait, we had a plan. We had
Yeah.
an agreement.
Yeah.
So like not even just the like rejection, but also the like there's like betrayal, a
Yes.
feeling of betrayal too,
Yeah. Yeah.
probably.
Oh yeah. All of it. All of it. So it was just not in a good headspace. And I think also it was just like a very depressing situation because I'm like, I made all these friends and like I'm not seeing anybody. Like I'm not seeing production. I'm not seeing this man that I've spent 8 weeks with now. I am not seeing all the other cast members. These people that I got real close with in 8 weeks, everything was gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how does your brain wrap itself and your emotions?
Yeah.
Like I cried probably
Well,
every time I filmed too because it
because
was
you're
like
like,
all this shit. And I'm like, oh my God.
well, and because like that whole experience like trauma bonds you with each other,
Yeah, it
you
does.
know?
It's
Like the
crazy.
whole thing. Wait, so I'm so curious. And
Yes.
I think you're probably allowed to say this at this point because you've spilled a lot of beans about the show. Wait, so then do most people when they go up to the altar, do they know what each other's going to say?
Uh-uh. Some don't. We just talked about it. No, some
Some
like
don't.
Giannina and Damien, absolutely not. That's why she ran away and slid down the embankment. Like she was devastated.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, like obviously that makes
I mean,
sense,
we're
I
not
guess.
supposed to talk about it, but
Right, right, right.
you know.
Because it's so funny because I've talked to Melissa, who you know,
Mhm.
I've talked to her so much and just like and like you guys, we talked a little bit about dating on Kelly's show last night, which most likely will come out right before this episode comes out. And for those listening to my show, you obviously know I talk about dating a lot and everything, but I joke and I've like talked to Melissa, I'm like, I would crush it on Love is Blind. Like I would crush it. but and which is like, gosh, I'm going to reveal too much with what I'm about to say. But like, it's like part being neurodivergent because like I can get along with anybody if I want to. And like, and not just if I want to, because now it's going to sound like I'm just like a really manipulative person, and that's not what's happening. But like, one of the things with being neurodivergent is like you unknowingly, a lot of the time unknowingly, will mirror people, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
so like, and I'm can be very adaptable without completely realizing it. And so a lot of my experience in my dating life early, well, no, this is my experience in my dating life generally, but before I really refined like what I was looking for, it was like happening all the time because I was like, sure, I'll see what you're like, you know, but I used to be like, oh, I can feel a connection with all kinds of different people, like that sort of thing. But what would happen is people would get connected to me so fast.
Mm.
So fast. You're like nothing I've ever experienced. Oh my gosh, your energy, like that sort of thing. And which is very flattering, very flattering. And sure, some of that also, when people say that, is like toxic and they're a narcissist and stuff like that. And they're just trying to make you feel special and like the only thing in the world, right? But it would happen so consistently that I'm like, oh, here we go again. It's been one date, you know, like there they go. And then I started realizing as I started doing a lot more like research on like neurodivergence and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh no, it's because like I'm not being fake, because that's not what it is. I'm not being fake and manipulative, but like I can like it's this whole like mirroring thing that like I can genuinely be like excited about like talking about whatever it is that we're talking about, right? Sure, if it's boring as heck to me, like I'm not gonna want to talk about that, but like I can find things to be really activating
Yeah,
with
yeah,
just
yeah.
about anybody. And so I had that experience like so consistently with dating, like almost not always, right? Because there are plenty of people who I haven't been their favorite person.
Right.
Plenty of people. That's not entirely true. There have been a few people, people probably like, this girl is so full of herself. No, there have been like a couple who are, you know what? And that's fine. I'm not their number one choice. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be everybody's, right? But like the overwhelming majority, it's like the like, oh my gosh, like I think you're everything I've been looking for. Like, and I'm like, well, you're not what
Right.
I'm looking for. So, okay, see ya, but thank you. I'm flattered. But that's where I'm like, I would crush it at Love is Blind.
But
I'm like, I would have I could whichever one I wanted. I could make it happen. But I think it would be I would have to, the only way I could do that is like do the show is if and this is the only way I can do any dating show. It's so funny because back when I was married, I used to think like, oh, if I were ever single, I would totally go on The Bachelor or Bachelorette.
mm,
That would be so fun, you know? And then when I became single, I was like, nah, I'm good, you know?
yeah,
Not
yeah,
that
yeah.
I like got invited to, but I didn't like choose to apply or seek that out.
Right, right, right.
But like, yeah, I would have to go into it, which I'm sure is how a lot of people, right? Like, not with the right intentions. Like, okay, like, yeah, we're going to go into it to like build an audience and to like have the experience and like all of that kind of stuff, because you should be strategic with something like that. And like if a relationship comes out of it as a byproduct, cool, right? But I would have to knowingly like play the game. But I was like, I feel like I'd clean the house.
Yeah, you would. I
That's
think
such
you
a
would.
douchey that's such a douchey thing to say. Such a douchey thing to say.
But I think so.
Yeah, like kill it.
I love you. But yeah, like that was like just to circle back to your question to finish it. The after the show aired, my biggest challenge is if anyone wants to do a reality TV show, you will be met with your spiritual awakening regardless, whether it is
Yeah.
immediately or in 10 years after you have gone off the deep end of becoming obsessed with the fame and all of that, doing the parties and the drugs and all of that. Because you will at some time, I'm sure, if you fell into that loophole, you would probably hit rock bottom and you would need to find God. But I did not do that. It's like I had done so much work for myself during that time in between filming and the show airing. Because again, it filmed end of 2018. It did not air until February of 2020. So there was 15 months and there was a lot of
Wow,
coaching.
that's so crazy.
Yeah. Like I did a lot of coaching. I had done like a
Whole
breath work session
year.
somatic stuff with Aaron, like releasing shit. Like there was a lot of stuff that and then personally what I was doing in the meantime too. When I got done working with Aaron, I felt so different of a person. Like, because I had never really done mindset work, right? And so all
Yeah.
this conscious like concepts and whatnot, like changed my life. I mean, it just changed so much for me. And I was like, I have to start doing this for other people. Like, I want to do this. Like, whatever Aaron's doing, I want to do it too. And I did start to like shift my content a little bit around, like, instead of posting solely like what I ate today and a workout, I started posting about money mindset and like growing your business and or like starting a business and like all this stuff. And that was my first touch into like kind of that space. But then my like engagement was dropping because my people were there for nutrition, like food and fitness, not
Yeah.
business and mindset. And
Yeah.
I wasn't working. I was still working like for myself, but I took 8 weeks off from taking on any clients because I was filming.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was not in the right headspace. So I had no clients. And then this fitness trainer position that I had, they let all the Atlanta trainers go in January. So a month and a half after the show got done filming. So I had no job in 2019. No job. And I was trying to transition the coaching stuff and everything. And I wasn't fully embodied and I didn't have enough conviction to be like, no, I know what I'm talking about. And I'm so integrated with everything, but it was so life changing for me. I was like, I want to do it though. Anyways, fast forward, I had to like step back into the 9 to 5 space, which was like totally fine, but I hated it. It was very shameful for me and embarrassing for me at
Yeah.
first because I'm like, no, I like left corporate America. Like I left corporate America. There's no way I'm ever going back to corporate America. And since I'm in my second corporate job since,
Yeah.
but the challenge was after the show aired, one, it presented me, my title going in was a health coach because that's what I was when I filmed it. And I was like,
Yeah.
shit, I don't want to make workout videos for people and I don't want to talk about nutrition. Like I will freely talk about it on my Instagram. Like I like talking about, but I'm not going to coach everyone on nutrition.
Right.
Everyone's so individualized and it's kind of a nightmare. Like it's not a passion of mine. I don't want to do that kind of thing anymore. Granted, if I had a client and they were like, I just hate my body right now. I'm like, well, are you eating enough food? I'd kind of like freely give that advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But that's not my main
But
thing.
like the sole focus. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and too, because a lot of the time, like the stuff that you need to be coaching people on when you're doing fitness coaching and like health coaching is the mindset stuff.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But I think I just wanted to like do more focus with entrepreneurs and, it's a different crowd in a sense. So anyways, I was like, well, shit, now I'm like this identity over here and the world is telling me I'm this over here. And it was real hard because I was like, okay, all my people pleasing, like, I mean, I was like trying to heal some people pleasing when I was with Aaron. And then it's like literally every shadow of mine just reared its ugly head after the show aired. And I felt like, I don't know if people saw this, if they noticed it, but like I did because I know who I am. Like if I'm in person with someone or if I was on a one-on-one or something, like having something more intimate, I felt like there was a different energy than like I was just definitely more myself than if I'm like sharing something or creating content on Instagram. Like I used to post to Instagram all the time. I built my whole Chase Life with Kelly brand on Instagram for 10 years before the show rolled out, right? And I'm like, what? Like all of a sudden I just had a lot of resistance to Instagram, although I would post to it all the time, but I was self-abandoning. I was people pleasing. I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I got caught up in the metrics of everything. So like, one of my cast members who, like Giannina, she's like 2 million followers, right? I'm like, I have 300 something thousand, which is great. Love it. Amazing. But I was like comparing myself to her and I'm like, you have so many other followers. Like, of course you have 100,000 likes on your post. Like, but I was like, but the dialogue was like, why don't people like me? Why aren't they liking my stuff? But of course it's like the algorithm too.
Right.
Like that has like such a big focus. My content was like influencer, also coaching material too. And it's a different way to say things. Like the coaching, how you show up coaching, I feel like is different than how you show up as an influencer. Or it can be. And maybe I'm wrong in that, but that's how it felt. And And again, like kind of how we were taught, like going through coaching programs and whatnot, it's like, okay, when you're a coach, you speak to like your ideal audience and like blah, blah, blah. And if when you're an influencer, you speak to the freaking masses and you talk about all kinds of things, right? And I'm like, okay, but I'm gonna like talk about this over here. So it's like these people who are showing up to see like what I ate for lunch and how I brushed my hair were like, I don't care about that. And so it's like unfollow or like just dropped engagement all the time.
Yeah.
So my engagement dropped and it took me for a tailspin. I mean, it was very chaotic. And so anyways, yeah, I had to like step back into corporate. Well, I'll say this. I left corporate America a year after the show aired.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in corporate America. I was at a job. I was so unhealthy that first year after Love is Blind aired. Again, the self-abandonment, all of that. But I was working, I think it was like a 7 or 8 to 4 job at a cubicle every single day. I'm constantly looking at my phone. One thing I will like congratulate myself on, I turned off all notifications on everything. So I had to go into the app to like look at things. But I'm like, of course I'm going to like go look at things. But yeah, so I was like, obviously did my job and whatnot, but I'm sure I was looking at my phone half the time too, which just creates so much more anxiety. I'm trying to do the coaching because I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm like famous now. I have all this new following. Of course, I'm like, I could probably leave my job next week. Like that's the mindset I had of like this is like easy peasy. People are just going to want to work with me because they loved me from the show. And yes, to a degree, I did help a lot of people, but I was so tired, so burnt out. COVID hit a month after our show got done airing. So now we are working from home. We're stuck at home. No one can do anything. I can't go see anybody. So I'm doing Zooms all the time. Like the mental health was just terrible, but I'm working full time. I'm trying, like now brands are sending me stuff. So I felt like I had 5 full-time jobs. And I was taking Adderall that I'm not prescribed. So I was bumming Adderall from people so that I could function throughout the day. And I'm not like, I wouldn't take like a whole 20 milligram because I would be up for a week, but I was like microdosing Adderall every day.
Wow.
To the degree that I was still so tired. And like Monday mornings, I would wake up and I was kind of okay because I had slept, throughout the weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
So Monday was fine, but it was like, then Tuesday, I got more tired. Wednesday, I was like so tired. That's when the Adderall started happening. So like half the week, I was like doing the Adderall, probably drinking energy drinks, which I don't drink. But I'm like, I can't function. I'm so tired. Like the energy from social media, like everything. And then plus I was like dating the guy who just wasn't committing and all the things. So of course I'm like that stress and everything too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I had no stability, I felt like. And yeah, I would be so tired. I remember there were a couple weekends in a row. I woke up on a Saturday morning, probably went to bed at like 8:00 on Friday night, woke up on Saturday, maybe at like 10 or 11. So a solid like 14, 15 hours of sleep. I felt like I didn't go to bed. That's how tired I was. It was so bad. And I went out, like, it took me a minute to like, oh my God, I was like, Kelly, just go outside and put your feet on the grass. Like you need to ground. Like you really need some grounding during this time.
Yeah. Wow.
So I would go, I just remember like, I'd like put on my workout or like my lounge clothes or whatever. And I would like walk from my bedroom to my couch and lay on my couch for like 10 more minutes because I was literally that tired. Like my adrenals were just so shot.
Yeah.
And then I'd make it to the park and I would lay on the grass for a few hours. And it was peaceful. And then it would kind of like rejuvenate me. So I was like good for the rest of Saturday and Sunday. And then here comes the next week. Let's do it all over again.
Oh my goodness.
It was crazy. Valentine, a year to the day that the show aired, I experienced 2 panic attacks. I had never experienced that. And I have never experienced it since because I quit my job 2 weeks after. I was like, my health is so much more important. Like, I kept telling my parents, I know I'm like old enough to like make my own decisions, but I had debt back then when the show aired. I had debt. And so like in hindsight, I'm like, okay, what would I have done differently? I would have taken the brand deal money, like the money I was making from brand deals and actually saved it versus not paying off my debt because whatever, the debt's going to be whatever. I don't care. I just have a different relationship now with money and stuff. But at the time I was like, fine, I will take all that money that I'm making, maybe pay myself a little bit for it and then save some for taxes and pay off the rest of my debt. So I was able to do that, which is great. I've been debt free since. But my job that I had, I was literally paycheck to paycheck. So if I
Mm,
didn't do anything else, I didn't have any other money. So that's why I was like
yeah.
trying to do the coaching and like, or I was doing the coaching and like bringing in money from one-on-one and or some group coaching. But like, I was so tired. And then I'm like, okay, Kelly, you could do this. I'd have like an hour group coaching call once a week, but that once a week felt like it was every single day. Like it was just so much. But yeah, but I told my parents, I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm so tired. I can't. And they're like, Kelly, like, your coaching business isn't bringing in, you're not matching your salary. Like it's not bringing in enough consistently for you to leave your 9 to 5. Like, why don't
Yeah.
you let go of the coaching for a while or let go of other things for a little while and just focus on your 9 to 5? I'm like, because I fucking hate my 9 to 5. I don't want to be there. Like, it's just like, it was just like a stepping, I needed money. I don't want to be there. So it was just like so much self-abandonment after that show aired, of just so much. I mean, when I left that position after those panic attacks, I took 2 weeks and like canceled all my coaching calls. I did not
Mm,
do anything for 2 weeks, and I cried almost every single day for 2 weeks. It was very healing, but also
a
terrible.
lot of energy. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I took like a year off, and I started coaching again. That was fine, but it was my nervous system was still just very dysregulated. Again, I probably needed a therapist very heavily,
Mm,
and I just didn't have it. I had coaches that I would lean on and stuff like that, but I really needed further support, I think, during that time.
yeah.
So in 2022, the end of 2022, I got another job. And I mean, that's a company that I'm still with to this day. And the pay is not paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I'm making a little, more than I need. And so my nervous system feels so much better. I'm able
Good.
to do all of my passion projects with ease, and also not with this anxious, like, oh, I have to like put a program out there because I have to make money. I have to like
Yeah.
tomorrow, like
Yeah.
it's not coming from
Well,
that place.
and that's something too. Like I've had this conversation with so many other women in the entrepreneurial space and all this kind of stuff. And like that, yes, it is not necessarily easy. Like so many people on social media make it seem like it's so easy to run your own business and consistently be making like months and stuff like that. And sure, like it's not, you can do that. And a lot of people do that. And it's totally possible, right? But it takes work. And yeah, there's plenty of times when things are really inconsistent. And I think so many women think like once I get into doing my own thing and being an entrepreneur, like I have to like white knuckle through it and I have to like this is the only option no matter what. And if I take a job or something like that, then I failed,
Yeah.
right? And like all that shame when it's like yeah, but how does your nervous system feel? Like,
Right.
but
Right.
like, okay, but similarly, like, okay, well, is running your own business, like, is it bringing in consistent money for you to like feel good about and feel calm and at peace and relaxed? Then like take something part-time then so that you can like have more peace and stability so that you're creating your passion and doing your business from a place of overflow and from a place that feels good, not all this pressure of like this better work or else,
Yeah.
right? And sure there is something like sometimes that this better work or else kind of energy like gets it done, but like if you're operating in that energy for a sustained amount of time, it's exhausting and it's going to it's going to burn you out. It's going to deplete your nervous system. Like you're going to be like embedding all these unsupportive habits and patterns, like all of that. Like, sure, like take the part-time job, like take the thing that's going to help you have some peace. Like it's okay.
Okay. Yeah. No, it
Yeah.
is. I mean, I'm so grateful for this position, and it's, with prayers and manifestation and all of it. Like, I'm like, I literally manifested this position, prayed for it so much, wrote in my journal, like, please God, send me an opportunity that's like, under grace in a perfect way with perfect pay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I would like write in my journal all the time. It came from a book. I don't remember which one, but it came from something.
Yeah.
And when I applied for, I mean, I was throwing my application on LinkedIn because I was like, okay, this has to stop. Like, I need like something sustainable. And
Yeah.
interview with two companies, one being the one I'm with. Second interview was in person. The second interview in person with the other company, it was a full body visceral no. Like, not that they were like, it was fine. Like, people were nice, but it was like, this is a startup. It's inside sales. I was like, nope, nope,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Kelly is not
Startup means there's,
caged in an office building. Nope.
yeah.
And the job that I have, so the position I applied for, it would have been kind of like inside, not like inside, just like management, more or less, like account management, that kind of thing. But on that first interview, the manager at the time was like, oh, these are a few of our open positions, just telling me. And one of them is the role I'm in now. And I was like, that's like, it was more of like an advanced like position versus the
Yeah.
one I had applied for was more of a beginner position.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm more qualified for that position. And he was like, and he like pulled my resume back up and he was like, I mean, you are, you've been in like sales and you're an entrepreneur. Like you've had started your own business. Like, yeah, you've been doing this for like 15 years, basically. And he's
Yeah.
like, okay. And it was 20,000 more dollars.
Amazing.
And so like, yeah, I mean, I did 2 interviews and got the job.
Nice.
That was it. And I was like,
Great.
easy, perfect
Well,
way,
yeah,
perfect pay. And it came even better than I
exactly.
thought it was going to come.
Exactly. And like the peace and the stability and the security it brings you, like
Yeah.
it's so nice, right?
Very
And
nice.
too, like there's something to be said as well, because like for those of us who are entrepreneurial, and I actually recently, which I should record an episode about what I'm about to say. I recently chose to, well, I haven't announced this, so I'm like, can I announce this? I've talked to my team, so they're okay with this. But like I have like closed down one of my businesses and taken a consulting role with another business doing very similar stuff. But it's because I needed to take the CEO, like I was wearing too many CEO hats, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have my CEO hat on in this business that I own and in this business that I own, and then also in this business, right? And I'm like,
Mm,
this is too many. Like I need to only be like steering like one ship at one time. And I can be on a ship, right? I can be like a general or a lieutenant or, a first mate or something. I don't know what like analogy this is, right? Like I can be a member of another ship, but I can't own and run all the ships. Like choose one ship to,
yeah.
like, captain. And like there's something to be said also with like having a layer of external accountability, right? Like, because on the one hand, like I do not, like I could not ever like, I don't think like work full time like with a boss, right? And even like this new consulting role that I'm in is pretty demanding, and I have a lot of responsibility, and it's exciting work and stuff, and it's a lot more hours than I'm used to working, but like it's so cool, and I have so much flexibility with it too, right? Like to a certain extent, but there is something nice about like one, at the end of the day, that's not my company. Like I am loving it, and I love the growth potential. I love what I get to do with it and all of that, but I'm not then like signing off of work and having the headache and like all the stress and all the things that come with also owning the
Right.
whole business and running the whole business, which is a whole nother level of stuff,
Mhm.
right? I get to keep that energy on this business, like my personal brand and my coaching brand and stuff like that. And so, like, yeah, there's something nice about like, oh, you're gonna like, and I'm in a leadership role in this consulting role, but I also get to like, it's not all on me,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And like, there's like some structure that's not imposed just by me. And like, I'm accountable to people that aren't just me. Because
Right.
even though like sure, like yeah, I want to crush my goals and like make money for me,
Mhm.
sometimes like at the end of the day, like I'm not always the best boss to myself, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, can I be done with work for the day? Okay, sure, you did a great job, right?
Yeah.
It's not always the best idea. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so like so I would say too for like people listening, like if that's going to bring you more peace, consistency, help you in a financial situation, like even what Kelly said with like helping you pay off debt and stuff, like it's okay
It's
to do
okay.
that, even if it's like indefinitely or like for a season.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I think because I feel so grounded now and all, and also I recognize, like, I'm hypersensitive and hyper aware of like triggers right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, God, give me a message right now to like share on my Instagram story. And it just kind of channeled through me. And I was like, okay. And I was like, Kelly, are you ready to like take on a one-on-one client? Yeah, you are. Let's do it. Like, stop waiting, whatever. And I mean, granted, I don't know if anyone's going to DM me, but I don't like, it's fine. Like, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that right now. But I did put it out there. Like, if you're interested in, one-on-one coaching, like, DM me. And because I'm like, I keep hiding. I think that that was a part of the whole self-abandonment too. It's like, okay, I had a lot of trauma around when I was coaching the last couple of years. Like, there was just so much dysregulation. And I'm like, am I ready? Am I going to like wig out again? Like, but I'm like, Kelly, it keeps coming back. That, to answer one of your questions, like one of our themes for tonight, and I'll get back to like the Bible story soon.
Yeah.
We've taken a journey, pivot
It's
a
all
little
right.
bit. But you were like, I think one of the themes was like how I'm like stepping back into like the coaching or the business
Mm-hmm.
realm. Okay, so I stopped health coaching 2 years ago now, I think, or a year and a half ago. And it was great to not have that coaching for a little while, because I was like, when I was,
Yeah.
and and I also had taken a little break with my podcast too. So I'm like, really the only thing I quote unquote had to do was like post things on social media. And the only time I really had to is if I had a brand deal. I mean, otherwise I could just ghost social media. Like, I
Yeah.
don't have to post there every day, but like, I've been doing it for so long, I feel called, and like there's impact there too. Like, I do have
Yeah.
things that I want to share and stuff. So anyways, there was a time though when I really wasn't doing too much. And I was like, this is actually really nice to just like at 5 o'clock be done and not have
Yeah.
anything else to do. I don't have to.
Yeah.
And I would go and like have dinner with my friends,
Like there's,
and I didn't have to think, like, it wasn't like I'm choosing, okay, I'll do my business stuff tomorrow. It was like, I don't have that right now. And I'm okay with that. Like,
Mhm.
it was good to just live for a little while and just be
Yeah.
the corporate girl. And like, I was okay with that. And it kept coming back to me. It was like, you're not, it's like, I can look back through my Instagram and there's like a part of me, like, I'm sure some posts, like not necessarily over the last year, but like in between like 2020 to 23, I feel like there were some posts that were probably a little bit more influenced by other people's posts. And so not fully authentically me, although of course I would change the messaging and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I felt like that wasn't fully me, kind of thing.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this is what I'm seeing other people do, so I should probably do something like
Right,
this.
exactly. And again, that's when I was like caught up in metrics and all of that too. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that landed for them and they got so many likes and comments and all the things, whatever. But the coaching does like helping people to transform their relationship with love, success, and money has just kept coming back to me for the last year and a half. Like, ever since I like let that go, it's just like, okay, but like, and it's like, so much. And even in there's like some, I don't know if it's necessarily shame, but like embarrassment around it, because I'm like, in my corporate job, I am working with entrepreneurs. I'm working with attorneys who own law firms, right? And they have a business, but they're also an attorney. And I'm seeing them do all this stuff for their business, right? And I'm like, and I have recognized a little bit of this, like, I don't know if it's like almost like I want to tell them, like, this is not all who I am. Like, I'm not just a sales rep for this company. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a podcast host and I'm an influencer and blah, blah. And I tell people that because I'm like, I'm not just this. Like, I am so multifaceted. And I'm like, and then I find myself, I was telling this manager that I've started working with. I was like, I feel like I know so much stuff and I have very little to show for it. Like, I want to, like we were talking about last night, as far as like, oh, like who's going to talk to you? Who's going to listen to you when you don't have a boyfriend, or I mean, whatever,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
right? Like when you're single, and who's going to do this and I'm like, okay, I could resonate with that, because I'm like, yeah, I want to help people transform their relationship around love. That means self-love, your self-worth, all of that, so that you can attract. And we're kind of like, hey, let's do it together. Like, I'm in this space. Okay, I'm not like, yes, I'm the expert in the sense of like, I know it because I've gone through it and I've had the life experiences. I've worked with the thousands of coaches I feel like I've worked with. I've done the work. So I want to help the
Yeah.
people that haven't done the work.
Right.
Right. So let's do it together. Like maybe I will attract the boyfriend while I'm helping you. Maybe I will, create multiple six figures while I'm helping you get $50,000. I don't know. Like it's just, I feel like although I've done so much work, I am still just a few steps ahead of someone else. I'm not like light
Yeah.
years ahead of them,
And that's okay, right? Because there's so much valuable wisdom that you have to like help somebody that's starting out on that journey for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But like I even had conversation, like this one friend of mine, I swear, like every time, I don't see her that often, but maybe like once a quarter or something. And it's like the same conversation. She was like, "Oh, like, so I know the last time that we talked, you said that you kind of wanted to get back into coaching, but like, I didn't see, like, you haven't really posted anything." I was like, "I know it's because I think maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I don't really actually want to do that. Maybe I do want to like just stay the influencer route." But then when I would
Yeah.
choose that decision, I'm like, okay, like what types of brand deals would I like to get? Or like what do I want to talk about? And although I want to talk about the stuff that I'm passionate about, and I will, and I have, I'm like, well, but I don't feel like I'm helping people. Like I'm sure I am. I know that there are people that like watch and consume my stuff freely on Instagram and are or consuming the podcast and are like, this has, shifted something for me or transformed for me, but they're not like necessarily reaching out to tell me that. So I'm like, I don't know. Versus if I had like someone that I'm talking to on a regular basis and coaching them through something and actually seeing the shift happen in real time, I'd be like, I'm fucking changing a life right now.
Yeah.
How amazing is that? Like, it's so like how you've probably done with me, Aaron did with me, like my current coach, like having that just live in person or virtual, whatever reaction when you can feel it and see it. It's very moving.
Yeah.
And granted, past clients of mine, when I've seen them have the shift, I'm like, there it is.
It's really powerful.
It's
Absolutely.
powerful. And so I'm like, I just want it just kept coming back to me. And my friend probably thinks I'm like so crazy because I'm like every other time I see her, I'm like, nope, this. I had a conversation with my mentor recently about it, but also this guy that I had that's connected with the Bible story that I will go into soon. He said something, and then I asked ChatGPT, our lovely ChatGPT bestie.
Everyone's
And
therapist.
it was very much similar to what they both had said too. And it was like, it's not that you don't want to do those things. It's you're just not you're just not connected to God enough, and you're not connected, like you're not grounded in it enough right now.
Mm.
That's why you keep going up here, but also you keep maybe you keep teeter tottering because how am I going to say this? I want to use the word like performing. Like it's more of like performing versus being like who you are. Like
Mm.
you're trying to be something you're not yet.
Yeah.
And
Or that
so your
yeah.
energy, it's like, okay, yeah, I can be this, but I can't maintain it. So then I drop down.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and then I get
Well,
like inspired
and
again, and I'm like, oh, I can do it, I can do it. And then it's like, nope, down here.
Well, and there's probably a level too of like, okay, when you've done that in the past,
Yes, there's
right?
trauma
Like
too.
it didn't work out,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So like, oh, if I give it a go again, like that fear of failure sort of thing. But then also this level of, okay, well, if I add that into my plate too, like the fear of past burnout, right? Like, okay, yeah, when you were doing both and the job and all that kind of stuff, like have been seasons also where it was like so much and so stressful. So there's probably fears around like, okay, well, what if I really jump it back into this and it doesn't work out, like,
Right.
and I quote unquote fail at
Yes.
it because you
Yeah.
have evidence, right? Your brain is like, nope, we can find evidence for when this didn't work and we had to get a job, right? So we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
fail again and be reminded of that.
Yep.
And then two, the like, oh, well, I don't want to go into burnout when I was miserable and trying to like, why add a bunch of more work when I don't quote unquote have to, right? And so there's probably that fear of like, burnout energy and like being a workaholic and stuff when you're like, wait, but this situation I am in right now is good. Why change
Yeah.
it? So
Yeah.
yeah, so those fears for sure. But
Yeah.
it sounds like, right? Like there's so much of your soul is like, no, but I love helping people and seeing
Yeah.
that transformation and like being like hands-on in someone's journey and getting to witness that, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that's why it keeps coming back to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, how many times, God, are you going to ping me with this? Like, and I've even had my mentor, she's like, you need to make a decision because your energy is doing this all the time. She's like, decide,
Yeah.
do you want to do this or do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can be both, but like decide
Yeah.
and show up. And I'm like, I know, I get it. But like, where I was going with like the social media stuff, it's like on TikTok, right? I'm like, it's like there's not a lot of like cohesive brand alignment across my social media platforms in a sense. Like not fully. Like if you were to go listen to my podcast and we're talking about mindset, relationship, entrepreneurship, spiritual woo-woo stuff, and then you go to my page and I'm just talking about something about Love is Blind, or I just am showing you what I wore yesterday. Okay,
Yeah.
well, there's so much more to me than that, right? And
Yeah.
again, like, yes, on my Instagram, like I definitely have gone more in depth and whatever and all the things. I just would like everything to kind of elevate
Yeah.
and match each other. So we're gonna work on it. But yeah, like, yes, what you just said, absolutely true. I felt that deep in my soul. Like there's definitely fear around those things and the burnout
Mm-hmm.
and not having the freedom and things like that. But I'm like, that's where I'm like, okay, Kelly, what can you do right now?
Yeah.
Maybe it's only working with one person. Maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I just do one person. Or maybe it's
Exactly.
like Voxer support. And like
Right.
maybe I don't
Exactly.
energetically, like I'm not on a camera with them or in person with them, although I feel like I thrive best in person. I mean, that is something like, again, this job that I'm in pretty much outside sales, like business development. I can work from home. I can work from wherever, but I'm outside meeting, doing lunches, whatever with my clients. And I'm having this in person. And that is another thing besides the, paycheck, the consistent paycheck. That's another thing. It's like, it has reminded me of who I am and what I'm good at. And that is
Mm-hmm.
connecting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, like I almost am like, yesterday I went to lunch with someone and with a client, and I was like, how cool would this be if this was actually one of my like, I mean, this isn't a client of mine,
Yeah.
but like a personal client to be like of the Chase Life brand. And
Yeah.
I'm doing lunch and we're like talking about girl talk and all the things, but also we're having like a strategy session or like whatever over lunch. Like,
Yeah.
awesome would that be?
Yeah. So maybe it is just one client.
Yeah, maybe it is
Yeah.
just one or something. I do want to do like a group coaching program. And again, I could do like once a week or something like that. So I know not to take on like 10 one-on-one clients or anything, but I just feel I don't want it to keep coming back to me. Like, and I have
Yeah.
saved on my phone this thing from what I learned what I learned from Maddie, my coach from like Bob Proctor. It's in the Bob Proctor Thinking into Results, but on the background of my phone, it says God's gift to you is more talent and ability than you will ever use in one lifetime. Your gift to God is to develop and utilize as much of that talent and ability as you can in this lifetime.
That's so funny. I posted a quote. I literally in my like weekly roundup that I do like every week, which I think I put this week's out on Tuesday. So I normally do like, my kind of like on Instagram every week I do like a little weekly roundup of like moments from the previous week and stuff like that. And I put a meme because I'll sometimes include memes too.
Mm-hmm.
And where is it? You don't honor God by shrinking. You honor him by stewarding your full potential, by using every drop of wisdom, every ounce of grit, every talent entrusted to you. And I've said that before. That was somebody else's quote that I pulled, but I've said that before is like, we like God gave us like our entire life and like so much potential and ability and skill and talent and all of that. And like waking up and breathing, like having lungs that can breathe in the morning is like God's gift to us. And the way that we say thank you to that and honor that gift of being alive, right, is by like living our potential.
Yeah. So I'm like, I see that every day and I'm like, okay, Kel, you're not doing it.
Yeah. You got to put a deadline on it.
I know. Oh yeah. Well, that's why I was like, now or never, go. Like, so I
Yeah.
put it out there this morning and I'm just going to keep doing it. But yeah, I'll full circle back to the Bible stuff now.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you, yeah.
It gets real deep now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. As I was saying, I feel like, I've started seeing people like yourself sharing more about God and like y'all's transition from universe talk to God talk. And again, my mentor, so she did the same thing. We were supposed to have, it was Valentine's Day last year. We were supposed to have a group coaching call. She like sends a group message out at like, I don't know, 9 o'clock in the morning, like, see you guys soon in a couple hours, whatever. And at like 5 minutes before the session, her assistant writes in the group and was like, hey guys, Maddie had an emergency. Her dad committed suicide right in that time frame. And her mom had showed up on her door and was like, your dad is not here. So it was devastating. I mean, it makes me so emotional thinking about it. I have seen her show up in the most vulnerable place. I mean, obviously it took, a little while. I mean, I think she took some time away for maybe like a month. Maybe that was it. And she was just like, my dad wouldn't want me to not do this. And she would cry almost every session because, she's like, she had partnered with her dad for years and like they were business partners. So it was like her best friend. And anyways, her just conviction. And she started like just speaking more like directly about God. Like, this is God's purpose. And my purpose here now is to fulfill what my dad couldn't finish out. And like just continued with that stuff. And she wrote this really beautiful thing on, on social media one time. And she was like, she came out and said, like people were asking me like how we should tell people, about your father and like, what should we tell them? And she was like, tell them he took his own life. That's what happened. Like, and it was just so powerfully vulnerable and everything that she's been sharing has just been that. Yeah. And I just feel like her, like just God working through her. Because it's healing. Although I don't have that similar situation, there are things you can resonate in stories like that. And so I like resonate with certain things. And obviously it just made me upset and like emotional all the time. But I'm like, that was so healing for me even.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was like a really big catalyst for it. But like over the last handful of years, someone I know has been experiencing what we were talking about last night, very like dark stuff, and like black magic, witchcraft kind of things, and
like experiencing like doing it or like being
like it being done
like on the okay.
Yeah, like the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
Which,
okay.
Of course, I had never heard of before, and nor do I want to hear of it. But it does exist. And people, like, I would explain, what I was hearing from this person to friends of mine who are more devoted to faith and everything. And they're like, well, yeah, that stuff's in the Bible. Like, it is true. Like, you can Google it, like, whatever, all the stuff. And they're like, that's not something I want to play with. Like, let's keep that over there in the dark. So anyways, but this person has struggled a lot, and it's a very challenging dynamic between this person and our relationship. It has become extremely estranged and very like I have to put extreme boundaries in place because it is extremely toxic. You don't believe me. Like the conversations are like, you don't believe me. Like, you would be dead if this were you would have died like with this. But I've worked with all these, whether it's, I've talked to so many different professionals and priests and pastors and, people in ministry, as well as, shamanic healers and energy healers and all this stuff. And, all that stuff has like basically kept me alive. And because it's so dark and I've felt like all this stuff in my body and I'm getting spiritually attacked at night and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm not going to devalue someone's experience. Like, obviously you are going through something. And in my mind, I feel like there's based on things that were happening already before all this happened, I feel like there's some mental health stuff going on.
Yeah.
Too, maybe.
Yeah.
And so that is what has been really challenging because they're like, I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. And I'm like, I'm not saying like, whatever, that's fine. But based on this scenario over here, that's why I can't talk to you. Like, I can't, like, I have to have a very distant relationship with you because you're like, if you and I were to have a discussion and we didn't agree on something, like, it's like, okay, agree to disagree, right? Like, or we hold space for each other's perspectives and okay, all right, I can see it, but like, whatever. this person will fight you to the like until you just give in and you're like, fine, I see it your way.
Yeah.
Because it's like their way is the highway and they cannot hold space for anybody else's perspective. It's like, this is what I'm going through. It's not necessarily even just that, but like other situations, you know, if I were to give my opinion just in a response kind of way, it's like, you fucking believe me? Like,
Mm.
this is like, I can't even, like, I'll have to talk to you offline a little bit more about it, but like, it's just like so intense. I've been in scenarios with this person where I felt very triggered and like, I mean, triggered for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I am not a mean person. I don't get angry very often. I become a monster
Mm.
with this person because
Mm.
they become a monster. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I get so triggered that I'm like, oh my God, like just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Well,
And when I get like that, I get rattled for days. Like I am like in a depressive state because I become something I know I'm not. Like it's crazy how much triggering this person can offer me. And I'm sure I'm doing it to them too. But I've been in situations where I have felt very threatened physically. And I am like, I can't be around this person by myself.
yeah.
In a couple of instances reminded me of a very emotionally, verbally, sexually abusive, turned physically abusive situation in college that I went through. And I've not spoken to that person in 20 years, you know. And when this person who is close to me, when I felt that similar thing, one time we were actually just like on the phone with each other, but I got so rattled and I just screamed like into the phone, like just like started crying and everything. And I said the person's like name from college, and I was just like, this is like you're acting like this person.
Wow.
And the person on the phone, they just got really quiet and they were like, wow, you just had a breakthrough. And I was like, maybe I did, but also I just compared you to like one of the worst situation in my entire life. It was real bad,
Yeah. Interesting.
real bad. Yeah, there's a lot. So, anyways, I've just had a very difficult time with that relationship.
Yeah.
And I mean, I pray all the time. I'm like, because of all the work that I've done too, I'm like, okay, this person is very near and dear to my heart. And so, like, you know, in their head, they're like, because they have kind of distanced themselves with a lot of people, it's like no one loves them, no one cares about them, no one supports them. So they have like severe rejection and abandonment issues. And I'm like, so I want to continue to try to have a relationship with this person, but because of how tense our relationship is and so toxic, I can't. I'm like, I'm a human
Yeah.
who needs to protect her health too. Like I can't do this
Yeah.
for like whenever I would see this person call, for whatever reason, it was usually always around when I was just about to sit down to eat and my gut would clench and I was like, no wonder I have like
Yeah.
gut issues.
Yeah. Well,
So
yeah, and
dramatic.
that kind of stuff is so hard when it's somebody that you really care about and they're going through something really hard and you want to one, you don't want to like cuz you care about them, you don't want to just like completely cut them off
Right.
cuz
Yeah.
right? Because that's not who you are or what you want. But then also, like, there's that sort of thing of like, oh, well, then who, like, then they have nobody, you know? Because look at how they're conducting their life and all of that. And to that too, because I 2 years ago had to, was it 2 years ago? Like a year and a half ago at this point, had to do that with somebody very close in my family of like it was just like being treated poorly and where I had to put really firm boundaries with somebody that like I love very much and say like, "Hey, listen, like this is doesn't work for me this way and I love you so much and I want our relationship to look different, but until XYZ like this was a major line that got crossed and I forgive you for it, but
Right.
that means there's going to have to be some really new kind of extreme boundaries in place as a result, right? And that may change, but it's only going to change if XYZ, right?
Mhm.
And that relationship has since like been repaired a lot, but
Good.
it's it can be very very hard to choose yourself in that when it's like someone you're really close to or someone that's in your family or whatever, right? Because like it is the whole thing of like, well, yeah, like they're family or they're close to me or whatever it is. Like I care about them. I love them. I don't want to give up on them. And that
Right.
doesn't mean you should, right? Because I think there's also like toxic advice given a lot in the like self-help world of like, if they don't respect you and they're your mom and dad, never talk to them again. And it's like within reason. Like, are they like, have they been abusing you for extended amounts of time? Okay,
Right.
maybe, yeah, like, but if they just like disagree with you or you're not like on the same side politically or like whatever it is, or they like, like
Yeah.
it's your like figure it out. It's your family. But yeah, it sometimes does require like those really firm boundaries where you're the only one upholding the boundary,
Yeah.
right? And that's hard, and it's hard, right? Which sometimes is like, okay, I know, right? They may not need to be a part of it or in agreement, but like it's a 10-minute conversation. And at
Mhm.
10 minutes, I get off the phone because after that it's too much, right? Or if this person starts swearing at me, that's when I end the conversation. If they start making personal attacks, that's when the conversation is over, no matter what, right? Like that sort of thing, knowing like, okay, what those boundaries are for you to then remove yourself so that you can keep yourself like
Yeah.
whole, as best as possible.
Oh, for
It's
sure. Yeah.
hard though.
It's very hard. I mean, I haven't talked to this person on the phone. Maybe it's been like a month and a half, 2 months
Yeah.
now. Because the last time we did, it was just it was toxic. It was,
Yeah.
I mean, I sat
Well,
in front of a Home Goods for 45 minutes receiving toxicity, but also probably giving it back because I got so triggered and I was just
yeah.
like, then it was just like ammunition going back and forth. And I
Yeah.
was like, what? Like, can you not just agree to disagree with me? No, you need to like blah, 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 blah. And honestly, the phrase or the first few sentence words you need to is the most triggering thing for me because that has been said for years now. Well, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to believe me, you need to support me, you need to blah blah blah. I'm like, honey, I don't need to do anything.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, another call's coming in.
yeah.
I gotta go. I need to leave.
Well, and it's also like I mean, I have hung up on this person, but I'm like, I don't like to because I'm like,
Right.
that's like so disrespectful too. And I don't want to be the asshole. I don't, because then it's like, oh, well, Kelly's
But
mean
too
too.
with that, it's like but like at the expense of yourself,
Right.
right? So it's like that like abandonment thing, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there have been times like I've been able to go, I was like, Kelly, just listen. Just listen. Just listen. Don't try to react. And we went like 45 minutes, I think, I mean, they got elevated a couple times and so did I, but we were able to like come back and like, okay. But then at like 45 minutes, it was like off to the races.
Yeah.
And there was another time a few times on the phone with this person, I will mute myself. So I can still be like, I'm reacting and
Yeah.
I'm
Walk to another room.
saying all the
Leave
things.
leave the phone, leave right there. I'm gonna take a lap around the house, come back. Uh-huh.
Yeah. But I'm like,
Wow.
that allowed me to like listen a little bit better, but I'm still like disagree. Like, no.
Yeah.
And it will be funny because they're like, "Are you still there?" Because they didn't like hear anything, and I'm like, unmute. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm
Listening.
listening, just like you asked me to." And I like mute myself back. Like I did that once, and then I also journaled while like I was
Yeah.
writing what they were saying down, so that I
Interesting.
could listen and it kept me grounded. But I'm like,
Interesting.
okay,
Yeah.
I got to get off the phone now. Like it's been 45
Yeah.
minutes. My hand's hurting.
Well, yeah. And I get it too with the like becoming a person you don't want to be either. Cause like with the example I'm talking about for myself, right? There were a few situations before like a big situation happened where like, yeah, I would get so triggered because of the other person. And so I would, let's go then,
Right. Yeah.
okay, we're going to go here. We're going to get nasty. I promise you I can get nastier than you and meaner than you,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but I also, I'm so disciplined and I'm like, don't want to be that person. And I have better self-restraint and self-control. So I'm not going to go there. But if you push hard enough for it, I will hurt you way worse than you could ever hurt me. Right. Like,
Oh
and
yeah.
so I went there a few times and it was nasty. And I was
Yes.
like, wow, like, I'm like, I'm gonna be real, and I'm not proud of what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna be real. But in those moments, I'm like, you scared that person. Good job, right? I'm like, look at what you did. Like, and like if I like said who it was, it would make more sense of why that, like, but like somebody who I've been very scared of a lot in my life. And so to then be like, you see that? They were scared of you.
Yeah.
Do you see what you just did? You scared the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Because you became a psychopath, right?
Right.
And I'm like, so there's like my ego is kind of like, you nailed it, right? But then I'm like, also not the kind of person I want to be,
Right.
because I have never met that version of myself before.
Exactly.
And obviously we are all capable of it. We're all
Yeah.
capable of being evil, nasty, all that kind of stuff, right?
100%.
And I'm like sure, that was impressive, but also like that's not who I want to be. And that's not who I am. Yeah, I'm capable of it and I chose to be that version of me in that moment, but that's not who I am. And that's not like, it takes a lot for me to get there. And so that for me too, I was like, that sort of thing happened a couple times and I was like, okay, I can't spend time with this person alone
Right.
because I don't trust myself to not respond in a messed up way. So I can't be with them alone because something, because I don't want to become that version of me. That's an ugly, nasty version of me. And even though I felt like that person deserved it
Mm-hmm.
way more than what I gave, deserved way more than what I gave, I'm like, I don't want to be that person to them.
Right.
I don't want to be that person to them. And so if I can't control myself in those moments, I have to not put myself in those situations. Right. And I will say, I like, I don't know how long after that sort of like those kinds of moments where I like, okay, well, then I'm not going to see you by myself. I'm not going to like that sort of thing. Like, and I did then end up seeing this person by myself after that because it was a holiday, I'm just going to stop by, that sort of thing. And a very major escalated situation happened
Yikes.
that was like a worse than anything I would have imagined to happen, which
Mm,
then resulted in me being like, okay, well, now I'm not in your life anymore.
right.
And like I said, that was repaired. A lot of repair has come out of that and a much better relationship since, and nothing close to any of those situations. But it was the sort of thing where it was like, there comes a point when, yeah, we have to be like, okay, like for both of our own good, like these boundaries have to be in place. And too, like it was very much like my own good. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why do I keep putting myself in this situation to be spoken to badly or treated badly or whatever it is? Like, why do I think it's going to make a difference
Mm-hmm.
or be different,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so, like, even just for like my own peace and sanity and like stress and energy, and also so that I wouldn't turn into like the psycho version of myself,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I was like, these boundaries have to be in place because I don't like that version of me that comes out with you.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't.
Or like someone else needs to be around as a buffer and to
Oh, for
tell me to
sure.
leave the room.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, granted, this person doesn't live close to me, so that's helpful. But so I don't physically get to see them anymore right now, anyways. But I'm not talking to you on the phone. You can call me all day. You can leave me the nastiest voice messages to pick up the effing phone, whatever. I am not picking up the phone, and I will not be calling you like until I feel like I have the tools to be able to be more neutral. It's like when someone keeps doing something, well, two things. It's like an abusive situation where you keep going back to the person, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
then also it's almost like you have to forget what they did and how nasty they absolutely were to you. And it's like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. I think, yeah, you're forgiven. Like no. But I'm like, it's not that I'm like not forgiving. Like, I know that there's obviously shit going on with this person and stuff, but like, I always tell them, I'm like, okay, I get it. You're going through this, but like that gives you no right to talk to me the way you do and treat me the
Yeah.
way you do. When you work with any of these people, instead of focusing on keep ridding the black magic from your body, why don't you tell them like you have rage issues and hell, hey, can you give me some tools around that? Because that's the problem. The black magic ain't
Yeah.
the problem. I think the black magic is staying because you've got so much shit underlying emotional issues going on. It won't
Yeah.
go away because you keep perpetuating the issue. Like, I mean, this person says they've done exorcisms. I'm like, okay, apparently they don't just like magically make shit go away. But after you've done, I mean, this has been going on for like 4 or 5 years. Like it's a lot. It's very heavy. But yeah, so anyways, been dealing with that.
Brought you how did we get to
Yeah.
buying the first
Yeah.
Bible?
Okay. So then so I went on a few dates over the last, 8 months or whatever with a guy that I randomly just happened to meet out with two of my guy friends. He knew them, walked up to them and was like, "Hey, hey, hey." And then I'm standing there and he's like, "You're beautiful." I was like, "Thank you." Thank you. And my guy friends were like, "Oh, I think this is our time to exit." Walked away.
Yeah, like, "Oh, I look at that."
Yeah, so like we talked and he was just asking me like very intentional questions and I was like and we were like at a bar, it was like after a football game or something and I was like, okay, I haven't met someone like this in a while who is, I mean, very like, do you know your attachment style? And as soon as he asked me that question, I was like, boy's been to therapy. All right, we like him already. Because no normal guy who's not been to therapy, they don't even know what that word means. Like, they don't
Yeah.
even know. So, anyways, I was like, okay, that's good. Anyways, we wound up obviously going on a date, and our first date was like 3.5, 4 hours long. We closed down a restaurant. Literally, the restaurant was like we were sitting on their patio, and they were like, "Can we get our glasses so we can put them in the dishwasher? You're welcome to stay here, but like we gotta go." We're like, sure, fine. We literally
Yeah.
stayed probably like an hour after the restaurant totally closed, but he was a former pastor and he had like lived in LA. He had like, started his whole preaching ministry, everything. And he just was very vulnerable and transparent about that story, just other things in his life, of course. And of course, we had a conversation literally on the first date of like, about religion and what I believed in. And he was like, what's your relationship with God and what's your relationship with Jesus? And I was like, I didn't know there was a difference. So I
Like,
don't know.
yes and no. Yes and no. Difference and not. There's a difference and they're the same.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And he was like, there's a difference. And so at the time, I can't repeat like what he said because I don't remember, but he elaborated on their difference. And anyways, to not go into too much, but I really enjoyed that date. Like it was wonderful. We went on a few dates after that, but it just didn't line up. Anyway, so fast forward, I ran into him. I went like on a mother-daughter date back in the end of January and wound up like running into him. So that was like 2 months later, probably, that I hadn't talked to him, hadn't seen him, and ran into him, introduced to my mom real quick. Hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so then maybe like a week or so go by, a week or two go by. Now we're in February. And this person that I was just speaking about sent a message like in this group, like Instagram chat that I am no longer a part of because that's my boundary. I'm just not involved anymore in that. But they wrote something like about the black magic. And they were like, when I pray to God, this stuff like lessens for me. But when I pray to Jesus, it goes away for a few days. And I was like, And I remembered kind of what the guy, I was like, okay, there's a difference. So I was like, I don't know, just like something in like immediately I like went to my phone and I copied it and I like sent it to the guy. And I was like, obviously I had talked about this person to him. So he knew what was kind of going on. And I was like, I remember like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I see you a couple like weeks ago, whatever. And then I was like, this person wrote this in this group. I said, I remember our conversation. You asked me about if God and Jesus were different, whatever, or like what my relationship was with them. You said there was a difference. Now this, and he was like, yeah. And he just like responded and he was like, yeah, great to see you too. And then he like elaborated on like the whole thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, interesting. So he was like, if you want to like grab dinner sometime, we can talk about it. Cool. So I wound up, we didn't wind up until like a month later. Now fast forward to like March, so just a few months ago. I go over to his place and I was there for 10 hours. Not just talking about that, but immediately when I got there, he starts catching me up on life and stuff. And then obviously he was like, what's going on with you? And I was telling him about my business stuff and kind of like where my head was at. And like, I really want to do this coaching stuff. And I told him what I wanted the transformation, like money mindset and all this stuff. And he, again, being a pastor, he reads the Bible pretty much every day. He's not a pastor now, and he's had his own journey, but he takes the Bible, it's sitting on his coffee table, and flips to Proverbs like 31. I think that was it. And he was like, and he sits back on the couch with me and he reads the verses like to me, but is interpreting like every line.
Proverbs 31 about like the woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Proverbs 31 woman. Yeah.
Good for you.
She's badass,
Yeah.
entrepreneurial, responsible. She's making things happen.
Yeah.
She's well respected. Like, yeah.
Yes. So he's interpreting it. And I'm like, I'm like, everyone interprets things differently, of course. Like everyone has their own perspective to things. But the way he interpreted it, I was like, I like this. However you just interpreted it, that made sense for like the coaching program that I want to put out there. Like nailed it. He was like, it was just wild. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
how did you even, okay, that's crazy. Anyway, so that was like one thing where I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this Bible thing I need to like look into. That was like the foundation of my like purpose of my program kind of thing. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So then, obviously we start talking about that person and things like that too. We elaborated a little bit more on that. And then he starts talking about the spirit stuff. And that's the person that told me I had a spirit of rejection.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, well, it all makes sense and everything. And this is what I was going to say last night. It's like, yes, I'm sure it's like ancestral. But when I like think back on where maybe my rejection comes from, it was brought up to me, like what I think, the first story that I remember of being rejected, before then I had what I'm about to say, but like the first story that I had when I was rejected, I was 4 years old in preschool. And this is what Aaron and I actually worked on, was this little girl was like, you can't play with us. Like, can't sit with us kind of situation. I was 4.
Yeah.
And so I had like one other girlfriend in preschool, but otherwise, like, I think the girls would be nice to me, but like as far as playing with them, they wouldn't let me play with them.
Yeah.
And so I was rejected. And I think that's where like the people pleasing. And I told my mom that day, like in tears, like I'll never not have any friends. And yep, I have lots of friends. Like, but when in this healing work that I've been doing, I'm like, okay, with this rejection thing, my mom was very sick with me, like majority of her pregnancy. So I'm sure the words, get this baby out of me, probably left her mouth many times.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I don't know. I'm just sure that probably occurred.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure she didn't feel good about like
Yeah.
being pregnant. I mean, she said she was sick for 6 months. Like, she
Yeah.
was like almost like losing weight, having a baby kind of thing, not dating. And anyway, so I just associate a part of that as the rejection. Like, I made my mom so sick, she probably just didn't want me inside of her anymore. Like, get this. Like,
Yeah. It's so crazy though. It's so crazy how those little things that like are not like is not what that means, right? But it gets like embedded in us
right.
in some weird way. And then like we have like a whole thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that it goes beyond that, but that's probably like when I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, well, my first story is preschool, but actually it's probably my mom.
Yeah.
And when he said that about the spirit of rejection, he actually said a lot of it comes from my mother. And I was like, interesting. So anyway, so then while I'm at this person's house, I get an email, or at the pastor's house, I get an email from said person that's experiencing the black magic and everything, with a MP3 like audio recording sent to me and a couple of people. And
you're like, what could this be?
but it was funny, like he like got up to use the bathroom. When he comes back, I was like looking at my phone and he was like, oh, like what's up? And I was like, said person like sent me. And he was like, that is weird. I literally was just thinking, like, I wonder if they've reached out while we've been together. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, about an hour ago, they sent this message. Anyways, he's like, let's listen to it. So we do. It was like 43 minutes long or something like that. It took us like an hour and a half to listen to this because he kept like interjecting with his thoughts.
Was this it? And this person is just talking? It's like a voice note?
Yeah, it was a voice note. It was an MP3 like audio file.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyways, he is like, again, interjecting. So I kind of had to keep pausing it, whatever. But he was like, there's so much unforgiveness. There's so much
Mm,
resentment towards you and the other people that were on the email. And he's like, she has like the spirit of Jezebel. She has the spirit of Python. She has the spirit of like all these like not positive things that I've come to learn.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and then he goes afterwards, he was like, he said it like as a question, but also a statement, like you call her. And I go like, are you asking if I call her or if like, or are you telling me we need to call her right now? And he was like, both. And I go, I don't call her very often because we have such a toxic relationship. I said, which sucks because I know that I'm contributing to her probably low self-worth. If that's what she probably thinks, she has high self-worth, but I don't think so the way she acts. And I'm like,
Yeah.
low self-worth, abandonment issues, rejection, all that. I'm contributing to that. And I know I am, but like, I can't, like my gut is already in shambles. So
Yeah.
anyways, he was like, well, let's call her. And I had, so one little caveat here, in between that text message and then us getting together, he had sent me a book that he was like, I recommend her reading this. And so anyways, I think like sent that to her to be like, hey, I hung out with this guy, he's a former pastor. Like, I kind of shared a little bit about what's going on with you. He recommended this book. And she was like, thank you. She was very appreciative, whatever. So she knew of this person. So it wasn't just like a super random, but obviously. So he has like, I I texted her, I was like, hey, do you have some time? I'm with this person. He wants to talk with you. She's like, yeah, sure. So we speakerphone and I'm just sitting there next to him the whole entire time. They talked for 2 hours, 2 hours. And she's telling him all the things. And then, of course, she actually stayed really grounded, which I was surprised in a sense. But also, I was like, but also not surprised because she's a really great person. Like, she is outside of all
Yeah.
the stuff that's going on. She's like the most angelic. She would give you, like, if she had only one shirt on, like, one shirt at all, she would still give you the shirt and she would walk around
Yeah.
naked. Like, she's that giving and selfless of a person. And anyway, so of course there were some times she would like say something like as definitely like an insult jab at me. And she's like, I know you're sitting right there, but like, this is the facts and blah, 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 all this stuff. He was so like, I mean, one, he acknowledged everything that she would say
Yeah.
and hold space for her very well. And then give her his like opinion about things and say, like, you know, I understand. I understand. And he told her, he was like, look, I I am closer to you than this person is, and then these people that you also sent this email to. I'm closer to you than that because I understand. I've heard these words. I've heard this. I understand. I have actually done what is it? Not exorcism, but like I've
Deliverance. Yeah. Or
deliverance. He's
something.
like,
Yeah.
I've performed deliverances on people. He's like, I know this world. He goes, and you have like unforgiveness, resentment, your spirit of Jezebel, spirit of Python. He was like naming all these spirits like at her. And she was like, she was kind of like, I guess she was receiving. She wasn't like arguing back with him or anything like that, but she was very familiar with all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, do you read the Bible? And she was like, yeah, I do. And I know that this person has become like, again, they have been, I guess, like studying more of the Bible lately too,
Yeah.
probably with all of this, you know,
Yeah.
with what they've been going through. And anyway, so he was like, do you read it? Like, have you read it like from the beginning to the end? Like, how are you reading it? And she said, I mean, like, I do read like full scriptures and everything, like, but you know, I'll open the book and read where I feel called to read, kind of thing. And he's like, but you've never read from the beginning to the end. And she was like, no. So he did suggest that she do that. And he was like, have you talked to like a Christian pastor? Like, have you spoken like, and are you still seeing like energy healers and all this stuff? And like you were talking about last night, all the occult.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Because
yeah, like,
well, and the interesting thing you said, like when this person, you're like, oh, when they talk to God, it doesn't really help, but when they talk to Jesus, it goes away. It's probably because a lot of people, when they think they're talking to God, they're not.
right, right, right.
And Jesus is like literally like the only name that like demons and Satan are afraid of.
Right. Yes. Yes. That's what was explained to me. So, anyways, long story short, it was a very neat and impressive conversation, needless to say. And I was like, just like when they got off the phone, he sat back and he was like, what'd you think about that? I was like, I mean, impressive, but also like, because I feel like I know you in a sense, like that, like it also wasn't like, oh my God, but like
Yeah.
also it was at the same time. I'm like,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
that you just held her though, like the way that you
Yeah.
acknowledged her and weren't just like, no, you're wrong. This is what I think. Like he held space for her opinion and her thoughts and her beliefs and all of that and provided his beliefs around it.
Yeah.
And I think it was comforting for her because she would be like, oh, do you know this terminology? But like terminology. And he was like, yeah. And it wasn't like, yeah, what about it? It was, yeah. And he would like say the definition of the freaking word.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
She
okay.
felt seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was like,
Seen and
okay, you know
understood.
your
Yeah.
shit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was just really fascinating. But all of that to say, when we hung up the phone, he was like, she's in between worlds. She's in this occult and she's over here. He's like, she's not gonna get the relief that she needs until she is fully in this Christian
because
world.
the demons are fighting hard to keep her there.
Oh,
and that's
hard.
what you're seeing and experiencing.
Yes, exactly. And I was just like,
they're like, no, stay here with us. We're gonna
right?
make you be crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And granted, yeah, I'm sure everything feels like it has helped her. Of course, she's alive. She's still here, and so whether it's a shamanic energy cleanse or a Bible, a Baptist priest, I have no idea, like, or a Baptist pastor, like it's whoever,
Yeah.
they've been helping her. So what? Good, great, amazing. And it's still not gone. So like, what do we need to do?
Yeah.
So anyways, he said that he would like help her, but he's also had some things going on. And
Yeah.
I don't think that
but
that
who
hasn't
knows,
come
right?
out
Like,
yet, but it's, he's feeling really called to like go back into ministry. And it's been a really like interesting, just, dynamic in that regard. And I'm like, look, you can help this person. That could be your first client back in the world,
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it was like the next morning, this person was like texting me, and then I was like relaying message. I was like a middleman between their texts. I'm like, can y'all just text each other right now? Like,
Yeah.
they got each other's phone numbers like last night. They just text each other. But it was interesting, like what I was hearing or what I was reading and stuff. But he was still like, how she it's still like not. She needs to really fully
make a
show
decision.
Christian like way and read the Bible front to back kind of thing. But anyways, I was like, well, what? Like, and he sent me the Bible app, and I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'll start there kind of thing. But literally within that same day, I was like, okay, what Bibles did you like? What versions or whatever did you suggest? And so literally went on that night. And so it was the next day and bought the Bible on Amazon.
Cool.
And that was that. And I've only read, well, just because of hearing him say start from the very beginning. I did start from the very beginning. Like, I'm in Genesis, I guess.
Genesis is dope. Genesis is really cool. Exodus is really cool.
It's like there's a lot of like sleeping around going on and like
it's wild.
Building of
why haven't
this guy lived until 137 years old and this guy lived until this, and there was like a whole paragraph of like names and years that they lived to, and I was like, all right, we'll skip that part.
That's what I was saying yesterday. Like, there are plenty of books of the Bible where I'm like, I'm literally going to read 5 pages of names.
Yeah.
Or like construction. I'm reading the construction manual of the temple right now.
Yeah.
And all the like wild Old Testament laws where it's like, if you're unclean, you have to bathe this many times, and then you have to go out to the field, and then you throw a rock over here, and then you will be clean. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm still going to read it, but I'm going to listen to it on 2 times speed.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But it's been good. Like, I'm not reading it every single day, but it is right next to me in my bed. So I will
cool.
pick it up and I may read a few pages, or I may read just like a little script. Like
that's so cool though.
Paragraph. So it's like
amazing.
I'm starting down the journey, but
a
lot of people were like, no, you need to start like read the New Testament. It'll land better. And I'll
I think
read
it
some
is.
of that and then back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like if you like reading the gospels is really cool. Like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to get like, you know, you get the Jesus, like when Jesus is doing his ministry and alive and stuff like that. But I do think there really is something about going from start to finish.
Yeah.
That's really cool to see
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah, the
story.
whole thing. Yeah. So I'm
That's,
excited. I'm excited. I mean, there are times like when I'm maybe I want to use the word like maybe like second guessing myself. Like I will go to write something and I'll use God, but then it doesn't feel right. Like I'm almost like it's almost like I want to say like God universe, like still, you know,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm not like fully, like as I said last night, like I can't like fully commit to the word calling myself a Christian because I just don't
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of like limited beliefs around Christian because again, when I was in high school and people would come up to me like, are you a Christian? Were you like, you know, you want to commit your life to the Lord and Savior and blah, blah, blah as a Christian? And I'm like, ew,
Yeah. You're
get
like,
me out of
whoa.
here.
Yeah.
Like, no, not a Christian. Okay. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think so obviously there's probably some just belief or
Yeah.
story or
Residual stuff.
just like some ick
And like,
around
it's
it.
totally fine to be where you're at.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Yeah.
totally fine to be where you're at and be curious and exploring and like
Yeah.
leaning in, be there.
Yeah. But I am, you know, like when I was going through my whole like beginning of my spiritual journey, I meant to say this, like I kind of stopped like actually like working out, like, but I would just go for walks and like I was doing a little bit of like yoga like in my room or whatever, but like it wasn't because I had debt, I was in like financial turmoil. I wasn't like a member of a gym or anything. And
Yeah.
although I could do stuff in my house, I just was kind of in like a weird depressive, dysregulated nervous system state, and I just didn't want to. But
Mm-hmm.
going outside and going for walks was so helpful in many ways because I'm getting my exercise. Most of the time, I still do this. I don't listen to anything. I just am there and I'm being present with my walk. And granted, I'm in my head and my thoughts, and I'm having conversations with myself, of course, but I'm very present, and I will like stumble upon a rose bush or something, and I literally stop with the rose bush, and I'm like intricately like looking at it so intricately, and I'm like, wow, like that's God's work right there. Like how can
Yeah.
something have like be so green but then so magenta? Like the
Yeah.
rose itself. It's like
Yeah.
cool. Like how
It's really
cool is
cool to be
a
like, oh my
rose
gosh.
bush?
Yeah. Like you thought of all the like cells and the like
Yeah.
atoms that went into making that thing be a thing
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and
like
look
so
like that.
cool.
And
Yeah.
then me look like me and you look like you and a
Right.
dog look like a dog and like a whale look like a whale.
Right. Yeah. So it's like so I always think of my like outside as my church. I feel the most
Mm.
connected when I'm out there. I'm very like just centered and present. And sometimes like I'll get riled up or whatever in my own brain, but like for the most part, I'm very grounded, and I'm like, that is
Yeah.
my church time. Like I am like so one with God in those moments. And it's
Yeah.
just like a beautiful thing. And I continue that. And like it's because I haven't started like actually going to church.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. I don't know. I mean, who knows what will occur? I mean, I haven't felt that pull yet too. But it was funny, like
Yeah.
when I announced on social media that I got a Bible and everything, it was like so many people were like, you can come to my church. And I was like,
That's so
slow down,
cute. That's
everybody.
so cute. You're like,
Love
hold
you.
on.
Hold on.
Let me get to know these guys in here first.
First step was getting the
Yeah.
Bible. Like I'm not ready to jump right back in, but like,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but it's been a really, really interesting journey. And I will say this too, kind of going back to like, or going to like dating. Of course, pray to God, like, please send me, like, I'm ready. Like, I want someone to choose me, and I'm ready for that, you know? And of
Yeah.
course, in your timing and everything, and I'm ready. Like, been a little
Yeah.
impatient over here, but like, I trust your timing, and I trust that it's all happening as it should. And I'm like, not that love has conditions, but I may not show, I am aware that maybe I wouldn't show up as my best self just yet because I'm not doing what I really want to be doing career wise. Again, I enjoy my job, and I think with like the coaching or whatever that's going to unfold into, it's like I need someone that is literally going to support my growth with all of that, of course, and in me, them. But I don't know. That's just like a little opinion, I guess, I have of myself of being like, I don't know, maybe it's just not yet the right time for someone to come in. But like, also I'm open to it. So like, send it my way.
Yeah.
I want to date someone, but I'm also been very with that trusting. Again, I think what I was saying last night, it's like, I'm definitely a lot more secure. I'm not entertaining the people with the low accountability behaviors. I'm like, really, okay, that person isn't fully showing up. Okay, well, I'm not going to reach out. Okay, cool. Whereas in the past, I would have.
Exactly.
I
And
would
like
have.
a great question too, like, is like, okay, does my dream man behave this way? You
Right,
know?
right.
Great. Yeah. And which we talked about yesterday for your show is like also then like, okay, and am I holding myself to a standard of not sure being someone's dream woman, right? But like not that we're like going through life of like, am I his dream woman, right? Like not centering the other person and having it our everything we do be about the potential of a man or a man, right? But it's like I'm my dream, like am I taking steps? Because it's not like we're always on the journey, but am I like taking steps to be my own personal dream woman for me, right? Like the dream version of me. And so it might be, right, like that you actually taking the action to like, okay, then you know what, I'm going to take those steps to have a coaching client right now. And that like could be that step of confidence or stepping into that trust and
Yeah.
into that you've really been feeling called to do
Yes.
unlocks stuff for you, you
Totally.
know?
Yes. No.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is the energy that I have felt. I'm like, I'm not to say again, it's not like love has conditions, but it's like there's something I'm not doing. Like I'm not fully if I'm not doing that, I'm still abandoning myself in a sense. Like
Mm,
I'm still not tuning into what my desire is. So
yeah.
like why do I keep holding myself back and
Yeah.
limiting myself? So
And then it's like, okay, yeah, then why? Then just, and then
just do
go
it.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
I'm doing
it.
it and it's
Stop
good.
thinking of it's like the stop thinking about it and talking about it and just do
Yeah.
it. Be
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just I don't know,
Amazing.
like even just again, I think in these last few months, not that I've been like again reading the Bible, but just like all those like scenarios and instances, it's just like I just feel more grounded and supported and trusting than I have ever.
I love it.
So it's a beautiful thing.
I love it. Keep leaning into
Yeah.
it. I love it. This was so fun. This was so fun. Thank you so much for coming on and for chatting and being so open, vulnerable, honest, all of that, and sharing so much of yourself and your journey. This is like, yeah, two back to back juicy conversations were so, so good. Tell everybody where they can find you and connect with you and if
Yes.
they want to work with you, all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I am most active on Instagram at Chase Life with Kelly. I do have TikTok. I don't post as regularly, but I'm there and I will start showing up better. But that's I am Kelly Chase. Everything else is Chase Life with Kelly. My website is chaselifewithkelly.com. YouTube is Chase Life with Kelly. So that's all the places you can find me. My podcast is Chase Life with Kelly. It is found on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and anywhere you stream a podcast. So
Amazing. All
reach
right,
out.
guys, everybody go check her out and make sure if you haven't already, go tune in to my episode on Kelly's show.
Yeah. Do it. Thanks.